Hi everybody. I want to start by asking you one thing. So let's imagine you have several rooms, one with 20 people, 300, 3,000, 94,000, and I want to ask you if your approach to L&D would change. What would change? How do you imagine that would change? With relationships, with people, with technology? Because I was in that position. So for me, number one was that technology, admin, logistics, suddenly started taking away my sleep. But, in a good way, we are learning. It's just that, with 4 years of experience in L&D, after creating countless Miro boards and Zoom meetings and live sessions, I really thought I knew my stuff, and then, this technology with the permissions, with the accesses, with the licenses, with everything, it can be so challenging. And let's not forget that time zones become a thing. So suddenly you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people in conflicting time zones. So how are you going to give those people a voice? Sometimes you're no longer asking for 2 hours or 1.5 hours of people's time, but 3 minutes, 15 seconds. How do we say, look at this, look at what we have to help you to offer? And of course, busy plus time zones means that digital and asynchronous experience becomes very important. It already is very important. It becomes really iconic. So if you have worked in a startup, you may be used by default and even rewarded for trying to do things yourself before asking for other resources, right? And what I found is that in a larger organization, you trust the expert in the room who can do it probably better and faster than you before you try to do everything yourself, and it can even be seen as a bit of a waste of time if you're trying to do everything yourself. It's collaboration. And it's collaboration with multiple layers of approvals, and approvals that seem to multiply. And maybe even raising lots of tickets for things that you used to do yourself, which is also, this level of collaboration means that knowledge management becomes so crucial, So here are some lessons learning, because, I'm still learning as well. My recommendation, if you're in a startup, you want to start, flexing a bit, let's see, scalability, I want to try something different. I would recommend already thinking, how can I elevate everyone's asynchronous experience around me? How can I go beyond, here's a recording, what's the recording? How can we do that? How can we include repetition, nudges, summaries, maybe even a fly-past video? Do we recommend these people go to different social channels and other formats that we have to share their voices and their impressions, even if we can speak to them individually, right? And make time for tech shenanigans, because they will happen. So rediscover the features of the tools you have. Ask what your options are, test at every turn, know their limitations, and remember that experts could be there and probably will be there to help you, but you need to know how to express what you need very well, and sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And finally, think in terms of ecosystems and networks, yeah? So upgrading knowledge management details in our everyday life. How are we titling files, deleting files, updating files? How are we doing that? If someone came from the outside and looked at what we are doing, would they understand anything at all? And how do all of these platforms that you have and these tools, how do they coordinate with each other? How do they communicate? That's also a good question, right? So I guess my core message today, and something I'm learning, is that scalability and the scalability mindset can start as early as you want, as soon as possible, but it's more in the little things we do, in the habits, in the processes, our relationships with people. Remember the network, who could be interested in what you are doing, maybe not necessarily an obvious answer, and bring those people into the party, because then it's almost diplomacy, you have a whole circle to support you. So that would be it